Merry Christmas, or as they would say in Iceland, I, well, probably I'm not going to be that close. Gleðileg. That's I had to translate it in Icelandic, and I'm still probably not saying it right. It looks like this. I know that's an Icelandic letter, but I'm not exactly sure how to say it. I took German in high school, and you would think it would be close, but probably not. Icelandic, I think it would be a difficult language to learn. But we're not going to be talking in Icelandic because I can't do that. I'm just going to take you on an adventure to 12 different locations throughout Iceland, which inspired 12 different colors that I dyed in minis for you. And if you didn't purchase the kit and you're just following along, hey, welcome. This is Christmas Day, which is day one of the 12 days of Christmas. And at midnight, I'll be releasing another day for the 12 days and showing you what I'm knitting up. Although, of course, some people have fingering, some people have DK, some people might be crocheting, some people might be knitting. This is what I knit with Santa Fe the first year that I did it. And you can see that in my Ravelry account if you ever ask. And also, if you don't know what you're making and you want suggestions, I have a Ravelry bundle that I've shared with you guys through the emails. If you did buy a kit, please make sure you're getting my emails because I'll send you out the pattern that I'm writing. And of course, you should totally do you then. But make sure you're getting emails from creativetwiststudio@yahoo.com, please. And don't spoil anything, but if you want to post in the Creative Twist Crafty group on Facebook, you can ask to join very easily. So thanks for visiting Iceland and Merry Christmas. So let's unveil day one. Normally I would be unwrapping, but I normally keep an extra just for that, and I'm actually completely sold out. So let's see if I can share a photo. I'm going to do some sharing and then not sharing. Here is a photo of day one. Yay! It is called Blue Lagoon. Blue Lagoon is the first place we're going to be visiting, and we'll talk about that a little bit today. And most of the names are not going to be in an Icelandic. There might be a little bit in there too, though, because I do find it really hard to say. Um, and let's see, I'm still sharing for a moment. And I will show you what else is in the little packet. You had your Blue Lagoon, which of course was not wound like this because that was way too much work for me. And then also you had about 20 grams of this Plutalope. I copied the label and gave it to you, even though it originally came in 100 grams, and so that you could see what it was. This is Icelandic wool, and I couldn't have an Icelandic yarn adventure without having a little bit of Icelandic yarn. But you see, like the guard hairs poking out. This is not necessarily a next to skin yarn. Okay. It is very hardy. They knit these beautiful sweaters out of them in stranded knitting quite often. So I'm going to talk about stranded knitting a little bit because that's what I'm doing, a little bit of it anyway. And it holds together really well. This one it's unspun, so it's a very delicate yarn, but because it's unspun, it's very light, and you can make like a whole sweater that's super warm. And actually, by weight, you don't have to buy quite as much yarn. So it's like super warm and also very light to wear. And if you're working in harsh Icelandic conditions, or like the sheep living in those conditions, that's perfect for you. So I wanted to give you guys each a little bit to play with. Now, you could incorporate it into your project. But beware that it might not be the softest thing. So if you're doing that, maybe don't be, I'm not going to because I'm making a cowl, and it's going to be up against my neck. So I was thinking about making either like a cup cozy out of it and maybe even felting it, or making an ornament for the Christmas tree so that you could remember, because you could felt this, although it will shrink down a lot when you felt it, because this is lofty and airy. Okay. This is fingering weight, and It is delicate. Quite often they'll knit with like two strands together, so it's a little easier and you don't break it. If you do break it while you're knitting, because it is easy to pull apart, it's also easy to stick back together. So I can talk more about that a little bit later, but I wanted to give you guys some Icelandic wool straight from Iceland. Got it. And you also got a little Viking stitch marker in your day one packet. So I hope you enjoy those things. Um, so let's see. I wanted to talk a little bit about the sheep, and then I'll get to the Blue Lagoon in a minute. So there is just a couple of quick, need to share screen two, I think. Yeah. Okay, so sharing screen two. There we go. I'll close that out. Okay, so here is a real quick video of the Blue Lagoon. And then I'm going to show you to talk a little bit about the, actually, you know what? I want to talk about the sheep first and then get to the Blue Lagoon. Not that one, this one. All right, hopefully you guys can hear it.
Sheep than people in Iceland.
More sheep
Every
than people.
fall, the Icelanders have to collect the sheep from the mountains and bring them back to their farms for the wintertime. Over 800,000
Look at
sheep
the
are
sweater
sorted and
this guy is
vetted.
wearing.
In
Those are the
Icelandic
sweaters.
ancient tradition,
Look
members
at
of the community come together and round up and sort the sheep in the circle pen. The outer sections are used to separate.
All of the sheep wander around the island all summer long, and they all come back in this big group, and then they like herd them in here, and then each farmer fills up his little pen so that he can take his sheep back home to live in barns in the winter. But the reason why this yarn is very hardy is because these sheep like spend their lives outdoors in the elements. And then because they now have barns, they have more sheep, and then they just put them in the barns in the winter. But in the summer, they're wandering around the whole time.
Them by herds. Once they're sorted, the sheep are brought back to their farms. The ones who live close by even know the way by heart. Sometimes they're just so excited and they cause an Icelandic traffic jam. If you like this video, be sure to follow me for more of my.
I don't think that this is a tourist event, because I think this is just like locals. Um, so let me close that out. This is like a 20-minute video. I might put the link to it in there. This is ladies here. All things Iceland. I've been following her. And she's an American who has been living in Iceland for the last maybe 9 years. She just recently had a baby. But this is like or maybe it's longer than 9 years. I don't know. But she talks about all of these beautiful sweaters, and I may put the link into it. But obviously, look at this, all this stranded. Of course, the ads. Sorry, but it's just that's YouTube.
Another
Look,
shirt.
she gets like there's all the stranded knitting, and so you can go there
Yes, I did feel.
and you can buy these sweaters. But she does caution, like if you go to Iceland, be sure that you buy one that was made in Iceland, not just from Icelandic yarn, because they will send, some people will like have it knit up in China and then sent back, or so if you ever go, or of course if you're a knitter, you can just make your own. But they do lots of stranded knitting with yarn like this. And so I'll just put the link in if you want to watch the whole video. But she is, she's a good creator. She makes better YouTube videos than I.
And
Look, some of these pretty,
that the Icelandic Hand Knitting Association did is that they applied to
yeah.
get the Icelandic sweater or Íslensk lopapeysa, like that phrase, protected. And
So you can watch this whole thing, and she talks. And obviously, because she's been there long enough and she's now had a baby with an Icelander, is that the right word? Icelandic person. She speaks not great Icelandic, but way better than me. So I will put that link in perhaps the comments or something so you could watch it. And then now let's get back to the inspiration, the Blue Lagoon, because if I go, this may be the very first place I go, which is why I wanted to pick it for day one. So this is just like the Blue Lagoon.
yeah.
And people just hanging out. So obviously it could get very busy. Could get very busy.
That's where
Depending on when you go. This does not look like it's winter time. And the guy walking around, but maybe it is. I'm not really sure. Phase that out. So that's just a slice of what it looks like when you're there. And then this is what it looks like from above. It started by accident. Oh, it probably was an accident in the 1970s, which, hey, I was started probably not by accident because I was a third kid. And also in the 1970s. So they flooded um a lava field to make a geothermal plant, and the water did not drain away. It just like filled these pools, and then because of the high silica content, which is why you get this like milky blue color, and then people started like bathing in it, and I guess like it has health properties, like maybe it would help psoriasis or something, I don't know. But people go there, and then they started building resorts and a spa and restaurants, and of course, so you can go there too. So if I was going, I would probably this is the website. I would probably, especially if I went in the winter, I think I would go anytime, but if I went in the winter, I would come, and the flight, it's sort of a longish flight. I've been on longer flights. If you come from like the East Coast, like 5 or 6 hours. I'm not really sure, but long enough that you're gonna like you got a little bit of jet lag forming, and you might land in the morning because that happens a lot when you go east to Europe, sort of. You land in the morning, and then you want to try and stay up as late as possible so that you get your acclimatized your time schedule. So you could land and then take a bus directly to this, which is what I would do, and then like wander around in the water. And you see this lady who, I don't know what time of the year she's visiting, but she's got all this like stuff on her face because you have to like coat your hair, douse it in conditioner to protect it, because apparently the water is bad for your hair. And uh maybe supposed to also put it on your face. I'm not sure. But if it's cold, you might want a hat like this that you wouldn't mind had a bunch of conditioner on it, because like your body below the water is all like comfy and warm, but then above the water, depending on the weather, which can change a lot in Iceland, it could be very cold. So you'd be walking around with your glass of wine or something, um and like maybe earmuffs or like a hat like this, that could be really fun. And also like relaxing after a very long flight. I love that. So random parts of you could be getting cold. I looked at this is the Blue Lagoon, Iceland, which there is other lagoons because it is, pretty popular thing there now. But this is the main one. And it looked like the basic ticket was like $100. I don't know if that gets you there all day, but certainly for a while. And you might want to like it's about 45 minutes drive from Reykjavik. And there's restaurants, of course, with like a beautiful view of the lagoon and everything. What I loved best about looking at some of the restaurants is like you can come in your robe until 4 p.m. I was like, oh my gosh, yes. So I'd go there in the morning, hang out for hours, and then get my robe on and go to one of the restaurants, which sounds like super relaxing to me. I don't know if that would um be accommodating to you. But anyway, so I think you can just take a bus directly there and then hang out in the water and coat your hair with conditioner. And I'd be there in my swimsuit and then like probably a warm hat, which sounds really fun to me. So the only thing I'm going to stop sharing that. The only thing I wanted to mention besides this is, okay, um, I have been a ball of stress this month, December, because okay, I was all set to mail everybody's packages out like a few days earlier than I like to. Like right after Thanksgiving. I was all set and ready. And then my daughter had an emergency appendectomy. It was ruptured and everything, like right after Thanksgiving. And then she spent her 13th birthday in the hospital after having surgery. And she's now pretty much well healed. Now Christmas time, or actually I'm recording this a little early. Um, but because like I was like, I gotta get all those packages out. And we had to stay with her at the hospital because she's a kid, and she, like luckily I do have a hubby and we could tag off, and there's just so much going on, and I'm like, I gotta get all these packages mailed. So I did get them out, but a few days later than I intended. Luckily, not really late. Like I knew they'd get to people as long as they didn't get lost. But I have been admittedly a ball of stress, and I'm not completely done with it because I'm recording this before Christmas. But just FYI, people, I'm like, yeah, some things happened. Everyone's okay. But I was just like, this could have been a lot less stressful. Anyway. And I'm sure this happens to, not epiphanies, but other stressful things happen at the holidays. And I'm trying to let go of it. But I just thought I'd be honest with all of you and admit that I have been a ball of stress. So tomorrow, join me for Boxing Day, which is December 26th, and we'll unveil day two. Oh, and I'll show you more than what this is my only start because I'm doing a little bit of color work, stranded knitting. I'm making an infinity cowl, which, oh, let me show you. Um, I'm making an infinity cowl with some stranded knitting, but I think it's not going to be too complicated because if other people are following me, I don't want it to be too complicated. If you like stranded knitting, just know all of these will be solid tonals and solids, so you could do this. I am not doing a doodle knit, but I am doing something like an infinity stranded knitting in the round and then making like a double loop cowl. And so if you wanted to even do even more stranded color work with these, you could. So you could, this is actually probably written in DK, but you could adapt it. I'm not doing the doodle, and I'm, just, you could have that style you could do. Um, but I'm gonna make mine simpler, and so I can only show you just like the very beginning. But tomorrow I'll show you more. Um, and I also have, don't forget, I have a Ravelry bundle with some suggestions that you can knit or crochet. This is, you could do a pattern like any of the previous ones. This was my Santa Fe one. You could just do stripes. You don't have to do any stranded color work, of course, or anything like that. But I wanted to try that this year because they do some beautiful stranded sweaters in Iceland. And so that inspired me to make something on that same plane. So I hope you guys are having a good Christmas. And I'm sure by Christmas I will be less of a stress ball. Gleðileg jól. Merry Christmas. And join me tomorrow for day two. Hope you're having a good one. Bye.